Video is on, meeting will come to order. Councilor Coniff is traveling. Barbara, I want her first. You know if the mayor's here?
I just saw her walking in when I was coming in.
Okay. Anybody from the public here? How about approval of the minutes of the last meeting? I move that we approve them.
I will second the motion.
I want to thank you for writing them so quickly. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 2-0. Let's jump to the budget because I wanted Barb to speak to it. And I want to deal with the things that are on next week's public hearing agenda first. And that's the 2 stabilization accounts and the $9,600. We already did the $81,000 for the pay plan. That was done and approved at the last meeting. So in the budget, the big difference is Peg would like to try to convince the mayor to supply funds for the council for education and training, $2,025. I have no problem with that, at least going forward.
Yep.
The other items on the budget are standard. The legal advertising, we have to advertise legally. And that includes bonding and borrowing and ordinances and things. So I think that's what I wanted to ask Barbara, if that was something that is, if she's okay with that fund, and I think she is. Last year she asked for $2,300. She thinks she was going to be short, so she went up to $2,500. Clerical went up a little bit because I think there might be an extra meeting in there. I'll have to ask her about that. Not here. Come on.
Yeah.
Mr. Omar?
Sorry, yeah.
Would you mind going down and see Barbara? We're waiting. Also did this mission statement, which is Peg and I. We never put this in the budget before. Did you read this one?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it. I just pulled it up.
It's pretty much standard. Well, we never put it before, but it really is helpful in that it does tell what we did over the year, what our goals are. My goal that I put in was to the budget and to ask providing tax relief for taxpayers. That's my 2, and she put in a few others. I guess she just wants people to know what we do, and I have no problem.
Yeah.
Barbara, we're on the budget because we just wanted to ask you. You went up in your request from $3,090 for clerical to $3,240. Is there an extra meeting? Or?
No. You'll see that I've done that in the past. So what I always put forward is 2 meetings a month.
Okay.
Even though in June, July, and August we don't meet because there's vacation special meetings. So every year I put it through, we put it through like that, and then they put it back.
Okay, so now we know why that's there, and the $2,500, you only went up $200 on ordinance and on advertising. I guess you know what that's going to cost.
It's just a guess.
Okay. Well,
Do all the time.
Bill, I have no problem moving this over to the full council, and if they don't, and I think the full council will want to try and do the education and training. It's going to be up to the mayor. We're having a meeting on the 27th. We're talking about our budget.
Oh, okay. You want me to read the room?
No, you already got it. You know that Peg is asking for $2,000 in education and training. She's going to try and convince you that this is a real good purpose, so we'll meet with you on the 27th. I don't know what the council will do with it, the full council, but I'm ready to move this forward if you are. Any other questions? Because Barbara put this all together. The only thing that's new is the education and training.
Yep.
Okay.
Make a motion. Oh.
Yes.
Not directly to the budget presentation. The templates that we sent and for the council itself and I don't know if that would be the chair or each committee, to fill in the narrative and what you've done.
We did a big job. We did it.
You have to send it to me, so
So I've been reviewing them and adding things and giving them back to the departments, but also.
Well, we hadn't done it in the past, and Peg and I both decided we wanted to do it, so we did a pretty big narrative on
Fantastic.
goals and accomplishments, and it will be sent to the full council.
Yeah.
So the motion on the floor is to approve the budget and the narrative as
And
presented.
there, that's presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Barb, for your work on that. And we did approve the minutes, Barb, they'll be going to you. Now we want to talk about your item for the election, and my only question is, you have the other elections that we have this year budgeted, the primary and the main election. So this is the only one that we have to pay for? Did I miss one?
So of course, as you know, we have a double primary on the same day as the presidential primary.
Do you need extra money for that, or that's not part of this?
Well, I hope not. I hope I have enough. We do get some money from the state, on top of that, and they had accounted for early voting for the primary, which is good things we have. So I hope there's enough.
Well, if we get to the
And
main
this-
election,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
you
I'll
don't have
know
enough
as of
money,
March 3rd.
well, wait, that's the next year's budget.
That's November's.
That's not even included yet.
September, November
So
are.
this was a totally,
Just
I was
like-
predicting it, but, back in the fall, but
I guess, Councilor Lynch, we have to hold an election. What do you think? Can we just say no to this?
I don't think so.
so. At the time, so we're gonna have half a day of school on March 31st, which means we have to pay for police, both schools, all schools.
They don't volunteer?
Yeah. And then at night, we have two officers also, so, that's in there. I didn't know what was gonna happen with the deep traffic situation at White Brook. I guess it's gonna be a little better than we thought, but,
They got better parking, they're adding more parking, and I was looking at it today, the two-way road looks like it's gonna be plenty wide enough, so looks good.
when does that start? When it starts?
They should be completed after the mayor, I think their goal was to get the White Brook road finished after school vacation, so that starts the new traffic, right?
Yes, that's still the 24th.
Fourth, right.
Yeah, the 24th.
So by the March 3rd election, you should be all set. The traffic will be set.
Is it gonna be pretty, it's pretty much just the same one road, but wide enough for two-way traffic? Okay, and it's gonna be marked.
The parking is all gonna be, if you're facing on the right, but they're making that even larger, so.
I'll go up to the school and make sure, because I don't know our normal access points.
Or you'll look
Anyway,
at it.
that's it.
Well, I'm gonna move that we accept this 9,600 from the reserve fund. Mr. Lynch,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Barb. You're done. The next item I'd like to do, because it's up for the public hearing, is the Cannabis Impact Stabilization Fund, Tax Rate Stabilization Fund. We are very happy that this is an attempt to try and help it. The one thing I wanted to say about the cannabis is be as novel as you can about saying that you need to use some of this money for police because they protected the cannabis, the impact fund. If you can, you know what I mean?
That's what I get for coming late to the meeting.
No, you talked about that, I think. at the-
Police, fire, planning, yeah, we've kept a running list of departments impacted, but also community impacts after the fact. You know,
But anything that you
Yeah.
can reduce from the regular general fund by using this fund helps a lot, I imagine, so.
Yeah, no,
So-
absolutely, absolutely. And those community agreements have good language that go to those efforts that we can follow, the contract that we
And
sign.
do you have enough flexibility that you won't have to defend in court the fact that you use some of the money for something? you feel comfortable
Yes.
using some of the money for stuff, or are you gonna have to get attorney opinions?
No, I feel extremely comfortable, and there are enough, in fact, fees that have already come out with HCA's couples community agreements, that there's good guidance.
Oh, from other areas, good precedents?
CCC has some, but also UR, DLS have given some advisories, and the Mayor's Association too.
Does the Cannabis Control Commission review what you've spent the money on?
Going
Audited and-
forward, they very well might, that they're looking to have more jurisdiction or input or direction on those agreements. I'm not sure how it'll affect the 4 agreements we have now, so INSO is one of the first, and I'm not sure that the CCC can come back and review that. We don't know yet. That's in the
Oh,
process.
I'm very happy we have it. Bill, do you have any questions on stabilization, cannabis stabilization?
No, and I think by designating it separate, we can kind of have that trail of where it goes and so there's no dilution. It's not getting diluted in other accounts and everything else. I think it's a smart
And we
move.
have to track the money by agreement. So it's, we've spent $500 INSA, like this is the money from INSA, this is how it attaches to the community impact agreement for the fee, and then the next one for the one up the road or whoever it is next.
Do
And
you have to, in the budget, set up separate line items that this part of the police budget is being taken from this account, or how does that work, Val? Is that, or do
I
you
can
just
set
defend
up-
it later?
I can set up revenue line items that show where it came from.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so.
In
I-
case somebody
I
asks,
could
what
set
did we
up
use this
INSA
money for? It's-
revenue and
we
blah,
can
blah,
see
blah
it.
revenue. Sure, I can do that.
Well, I think people might ask.
Yeah,
I might ask.
it makes it easier to track.
and additionally, there's, the tax benefit to put money in stabilization accounts. Like,
Absolutely.
Right, I think we can't underestimate that. There's legal liability and whatnot, like stabilization accounts are a wonderful tool for mitigating the impact of the tax rate during a growth spurt, quite honestly.
And just jumping to that tax rate stabilization fund, I like it because we all know that you can't budget free cash until it's certified in the fall. So if we get free cash this year and we have some left, we could put it in there for FY21. But we don't know how much that'll be. And I heard from Val in other conversations that next year's debt exclusion payment is up 400,000, even more than this year. Then it goes down, so that you got to find 400,000 for that. So anything we can do to mitigate that stuff.
Absolutely.
People are asking, what's the cannabis money going for? So, and we know that you only put 100,000 in this year's budget from last year, and then you have to wait until the DOR lets you know how much you can budget moving forward. But that's the kind of thing, if we use the cannabis money to cover that 400,000, we can say that to people. I know it's your choice, you're gonna make those decisions.
I don't
but-
know if we could use impact fee money to cover interest. on
Not
school.
impact me, I'm talking about regular excise tax. Join us, counselor, you don't get to sit over there.
Candidly, Mr. Chair, I would say that I wouldn't say I know, the 3% excise, and we've been receiving it all along, goes right into the general fund and is covering gaps. Everything's more expensive.
I understand,
And,
I understand.
And it's been helpful. I don't think the department has would agree with me, but it's been helpful for me to be able to say, your budgets need to be level funded. And the excise tax in our budget has covered some increases, not all of them, but it gives us a little buffer to really kind of come back in line with our financial policies. It's a very exciting year, and there's lots of new money, but it's spent. Everything is more expensive, from gas to software to folks getting well-deserved raises that we voted in and spent a lot of money to do. Different filing fees, elections and whatnot. So it's 3%. The excise tax really is in the general fund and will help departments a little bit going forward to cover rising costs.
The thing I wanted to say is, regardless of how we use the stabilization fund
Yeah.
and whether cannabis funds, I would not want because we had to build a school, the other services in town. I said this at the last meeting you were here, to be impacted. I don't want layoffs, I don't want less services than we did before. Level funding, that's understandable, but less services because we're building a school, this counselor doesn't feel that's appropriate. People want their police protection, they want what they had before.
So
If we start cutting people,
Right.
teachers and everything, that doesn't make sense to me.
I see my role as mayor to trust the experts that run the department and to determine what the buckets of money that they have and how they spend it. If they unfortunately decided they really needed items X, Y, and Z and that resulted in layoffs, we're not buying something that's crucial to public services. I make a judgment call, but it's their budget, they have to live with it. And I think we saw this last year, when we did come back for money, the requests were fewer and they were very detailed. And, so right now, the budget letter went out in January. And it was level funded, we're starting to meet with departments. Some departments are making very hard cases that they need more than level funded. We have obligations outside of level funding that we made to our employees and the citizens to bolster certain departments with staff or equipment. We need to go, I feel strongly that those things are gonna happen. I don't know. I mean, if the department head decides layoffs, am I gonna say, what the heck are you doing? And, yeah, but I'll be very honest, I'm not writing them a blank check just to let them spend how they want to. And if they decide to lay off their
I
team,
don't think any mayor has ever done that, so.
I don't want to be, I will not be the first. And that has been the message that, with Jen and Val in the budget meetings to date, that has been the message.
Well, you got a tough job. Do you have anything on either the stabilizations? Any conflicts? No? I'd like to make a motion that we accept both stabilization funds and move to be recommended that be approved to the full council.
I will second.
All in favor? Okay, that's fast. The stabilization fund, the pay plan employees, which we approved last meeting, and the $9,600 for election is up for public hearing at the next meeting. This didn't take as long as I thought, Bob. We could take a break. Let's talk about, which one do you want to do first? Which one do you want to talk about first? Shortfall? Let's do the shortfall.
I'll defer to the chair.
Shortfall is top on the agenda. You could explain as you did in your letter if you want for the public on this.
So this unanticipated shortfall in FY '20's budget, unforeseen expenses, number one is for 2 officers going to they're actually in week 1 of the police academy, starting Monday. They're not having a good time in the academy. So that is tuition at $3,000 per officer, and then mandatory equipment at $2,500 per officer for this academy.
What happens if they fail? You lose the money. I mean, we try.
It's not an option, but if they do, that's correct, we would.
We try to get them through it.
It's like in the MPTC, the Initial Police Training Council, depending how far along they are, is how much it really costs you. So it won't cost you the whole thing if they fail out.
Oh, so you don't have to pay $3,000 up front.
Right. They prorate it. But I don't.
Because you said at the beginning, you said they're not having a good time. That's
Well, it's not a good time. I didn't mean they're failing. It's just not a good time.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's part one. And I guess part two really fed into part one, because part two we had some retirements and some resignations. So out of the 4 officers in part two, I was fortunate enough to have 2 full-time officers already trained come over from Northampton PD and apply. So rather than putting in a request for 4 into the academy, I only have to put a request in for 2, because the other 2 officers that we hired to fill these voids already have the full-time academy.
Do they
It's
come
a
in?
cost-saving measure, but it's not something that we institutionally have done in the Easthampton Police Department.
You mean hire outside officers?
Hire outside of our little specials.
Did they come in at a higher rate because they have experience?
No, not necessarily.
I just didn't know.
Yeah, no, not necessarily, no. And they, they have their own reasons for leaving, whatever police departments have come over. But in my career, these are number 3 and 4 that we've ever lateraled in from another department. We've only, prior to this, in my career, we've only ever taken 2 from another department.
Did you have more than 2 apply? And you have any-
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, you
Yeah.
got a choice there.
Right. There's a whole different reason why, which I won't get into.
So you got all these vacation payouts.
You're right, exactly. So these are contractual payouts to the resignations and the retirements.
So right now, you're 2 officers short until you get these other 2 officers out of the,
Right.
you have specials to cover?
Exactly. So I have specials that are covering, so our beats opened up again in January. I actually restructured my beats to take an overlap officer that I'll call, or a relief beat officer, off the day shift and off the 4 to 12 shift and assign them to the midnight shift to try to help augment these 2 officers, because these 2 officers came off the midnight shift to go into the academy. So I restructured to try to save overtime by putting these 2 officers in the academy and utilizing special police officers at a much lower rate to help fill the shifts.
Okay. Obviously, you can't predict well, you did predict retirements, didn't you? I mean, did they tell you, how long do they have to tell you?
They don't.
They could say, I'm retiring next week?
They could, yeah.
Holy cow.
That's why we had this discussion we had a budget meeting today, and this exact topic came up. Unless somebody's definitively telling you, by way of example, my captain, Chris Battle, is definitely 1,000% retiring in July. So I can budget for that in next year's budget. But I have another officer who can't make up his mind whether he's going in July, November, January, or next July. So you can't really budget for that.
I've been there, I know how that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I gave them a year,
Yeah.
and I only had to give them 2 weeks, so that's, you
Yeah,
don't even
so
have the unions, never mind that.
There's no standing for them to tell you when they're going to retire. I mean, they're good about it for the most
Okay.
part.
So it's hard to predict retirement, so.
Very much, very much. Yes, sir.
I got 2 questions. One, piggybacking on that. So when they're filing their paperwork and everything else, because they got to do through the union and everything else, that usually takes like 6 months, doesn't it? No?
No,
Your
no.
unions are quick?
Or it's not necessarily the union. They've got to go to the retirement board,
Yeah.
file with the retirement board. But that could be done in 60 days, 30, 60 days, well inside the scope of a budget year.
Sure. Okay.
So it's not like, I'm not sure, the unions really have no say in when they can retire.
No, not to say when they retire, but like you got to file the paperwork, and I guess it's with the retirement board.
Right.
But I know we got to file paperwork with our unions when we're retiring, and it might be different. Obviously, it's all commercial worker union, but they get that's who's paying out their retirement. It's the union.
So for us, it would be the retirement board.
Okay.
In the city. They might have to approve it. So
No, yeah.
There's a,
Stipulations.
but it's nowhere near probably the gap that you guys
Can I
have.
help you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you. Next meeting, I guess.
Okay.
And then the
I
other-
think it's the ranked choice voting, that's why Tom's.
And then the other thing is when people quit, we pay them out, or resign, we pay them out everything they own, all their earned time off, or is it?
No, the only difference is retirement, short of like an agreement to our company, they would not get their sick time. So the sick time buyout is for retirement specific.
Yeah.
So if you resign, you're not necessarily, straight up a resignation, you're not entitled to your accrued sick time.
Just
really?
vacation time?
Yeah.
What about personal holidays? Do you guys get personal holidays too?
Yeah, that's
So-
contractual. You get the holiday, well, not personal holiday, just the holiday pay. You get, that's contractual.
Do they get paid out holiday pay too, or is it just vacations and
Vacation and holiday.
So they do get holiday, okay? Because we don't get sick or holidays, we just get vacation,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to bring that up. All right.
And again, that's all contractual.
No, I understand, I'm just trying to learn what the.
And I think the other thing that I'd like to point out is, and we're very cognizant of what the resignations and retirements and then backfilling, we're cognizant of that could create overtime. So one of the things that I'd like to point out is that, so we've hired these 4 officers now at an entry level rate, and the retiring officers are leaving at a top step rate.
Yeah.
So there is some savings in there.
Sure.
And my intent is to utilize whatever savings that is, whatever numbers those are, to put towards not utilizing more overtime to fill these beats for the next 6 months.
And then, so on your breakout here, Kalita is listed under sick time,
Yes,
so we don't pay out sick time for resignations, right?
correct. Short of, like I said earlier, an agreement.
So there was an agreement made.
Shayla didn't get any, but Kalita did.
So we agreed to pay 17 grand. So somebody putting, I'm sure there's more to it. I'm just, all right. It's the manager in me
No, I get it.
that doesn't feel it's warranted, but I get it.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can explain that.
I don't need an explanation, but it's an agreed upon decision between separation.
Separation agreements are common
Correct.
in both public and private, so I'm not shocked that you have to do it. Omar, do you have any questions? Take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve $93,626.83 to be transferred from reserve fund to various accounts.
Second. All in favor? Aye. This will be set for public hearing for March 4th meeting. Now, I know the next one, Salem and Omar are very happy to see the word hybrid on this. Biggest question for you, and I was reading a little bit on it, the thing you sent me, I think it said, performance-wise, they get up to 137 miles per hour. The biggest concern you always had in that you couldn't get a hybrid before was you had to put performance, and it's over that particular element. And we always made an exception to our ordinance about hybrids because we didn't want to handcuff the police department with bad performance. So you're confident that you get to drive one of these? Are you confident with these? I'm being the devil's advocate
No, I am.
because I love it.
And I am. It's twofold, Counselor. It's in addition to performance, being able to get somewhere safely and expeditiously. More important to me is the safety factor. The crash rating of the hybrids previous to this particular 2020 Police Interceptor could not withstand the crash ratings that the gasoline Police Interceptors could, which is a 75 mile an hour rear impact rating.
So these crash ratings have improved greatly.
No, indeed, yeah. So there's a bunch of things going on. I would have never, if we were going to compromise safety, I would never advocate.
Of course you would.
for
I
this.
just people
And Ford built a product that didn't compromise safety, that is a hybrid that will save fuel and will save emissions. And it just, finally, it makes good sense. And I'm very, very happy with it.
Did you get to drive it?
No, I did not.
Have you?
But I'm confident with what I've researched and with the specs and the.
These are 2020, so is there any, are we the first ones to buy them? I mean, I hope not.
No. Matter of fact, I want to say Hoyle just received 5 or 6 of them.
So the other question is, and I'm assuming it's because of the equipment in it,
Yes,
so
exactly.
the utility K8A Mark Cruiser is twice the money?
No.
One's 30,000, 163.
Oh, so it's a whole different, they're apples and oranges. So the other car is a hybrid Ford Escape.
Oh, I didn't.
It's a detective model.
All I
plain
need to do is
Jane.
read it, okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a two totally different cars. But just staying on the Interceptor, if I may for a second, and the handout that I had handed out. So the first page was a calculator you could actually plug into the Ford website. put the number of vehicles, what your average miles are per year, what your fuel gallon per pricing is in your area, which I looked up today as well. So I use 4 vehicles because typically we try to keep 4 vehicles on the street for 3 shifts. Sometimes we'll run just 3 officers, but typically we like to have 4 for a whole variety of reasons, including officer safety. So these calculations that I plugged in show one vehicle in 1 year, fuel cost savings would be $5,213. Of course, we're going to do our own study once we get this and match our own 2 vehicles. So I think it's important to point out that the price of the cruiser itself was approximately $3,500 more dollars for the hybrid than the regular gasoline police interceptor.
That's important. And that's not very high as far as I was.
And it's not. It was when I got the quotes in. I think one of my first calls was to Counselor Gomez, and I said, "You're not going to believe this," because we all thought they were going to be $10,000 more.
Yeah.
So then factor that in with the cost savings of even approximately $4,500, $5,000 for 1 year. We've already saved that. So I think that's a very important piece to point out. And then, so say you have 4 of these over the course of 1 year, as you rotate the fleet out. As you rotate the fleet out every year,
Because you're budgeting about
20 grand. Right. Except that, right.
Yeah.
I don't know about cutting my budget.
No, cut your budget 20 grand. I was waiting to hear how long it would take them to hear me.
But Counselor, you're assuming that I have cruisers on my budget.
We actually used to do that years ago, but we got away from that because we couldn't afford it. It's at the capital line.
And the other 2 points I think I want to make are that the average mileage in my entire fleet is 80,000 plus miles on the cruisers.
Yeah, what are these replacing? What are these replacing?
So this one of them is replacing a 2014 gasoline Interceptor that has 125,000 miles on it. Actually, we have more than that now, but it's over 125,000. And the hybrid Ford Escape is replacing a 2006
Oh my God.
Ford 500, which has approximately 90,000 miles on it. And then I guess the last piece is both of those vehicles are going to be repurposed to Park and Rec and school department. I don't know which one's going where yet, but
What is school department, maintenance?
maintenance, right?
School department uses maintenance people?
They need a maintenance vehicle. And Park and Rec, they're driving one of our old detective cars that, I don't even know what year that.
Brilliant.
I think I was a rookie when I bought it.
I think that's the truck they use the stop sign to put at the bottom of the truck or something to keep the rain or stuff with legend down there.
Well, they don't necessarily go on the highway or anything, they're just riding around the park, so they should last a little while.
Parks.
Parks, yes. Yeah. But that's not,
I know. There is no other than park.
hopefully they're not chasing a culprit. Well, you don't know, the park. I have no questions except to thank you, or just to say thank you for getting.
Yeah.
Are there other, just, does Chevy or anybody making an Interceptor yet? This is the only one out there?
Yeah, well, the Interceptor is specific to Ford. Other agencies are using Dodge Chargers, Chevy Impalas.
That are hybrids.
No, I don't think so. No, because.
That's what I meant. I mean, is there any other hybrids out there
No.
that police departments are using?
No, I would buy stock in Ford.
Their comment was not from the city government.
What's the average of the vehicles, mileage that the vehicles do, like before you replace it? So is it,
We try to catch them around 100,000, but it just, it depends on the city budget. We've tried over the years to do, and so it's actually 1 cruiser per year. If I have 10 cruisers and the average on all 10 of those cruisers is 80,000 miles, you can see Michael London. And we do a good job of trying to park, you know, certain shifts, we drive certain cars to try to stagger. Yep. We work hard at that. We've added to the fleet via drug forfeiture to try to help see augment some of this.
How many cars do you have?
We have
Interceptors.
9 interceptors.
Oh, really?
And that, again, this same rotation reminds me of when we started rotating out of the Crown Vics into these.
We don't have any Crown Vics though. Anything? One more? Are you
I
happy?
just want to make a comment. We talk about how much money we're gonna save in gas, but plus that we have to say how much we're gonna save the planet.
Yes.
I think that's important to mention. You know, saving gas is great because it's tax money, but saving the planet, I think is huge because we're saving it for everybody.
I have to say that this particular appropriation and my friendship with Omar has made me want to buy a new hybrid. We all have to do our part.
Yes.
No, this is great. People might ask, you know, the diehards that want to know whether this will do the same, can they catch the crook? The other thing I want to say is, you try not to have those kinds of high-speed pursuits, because 9 times out of 10, they end up with a tragedy that's not what you want. You try to get people to block them, you don't try to catch them. So, somebody with a vet, you're not going to catch them with this.
I always say, counsel, you can't outrun the radio.
That is true. That's a good one.
Challenges.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve appropriations from free cash. We transfer to police hire cruisers to $93,800.
Second, further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Again, this will be March 4th.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can't believe it's only 3,500 more.
Right.
That is a great news.
And
That's great.
that's going to be important to speak on because I have people's image of it. Right.
Yeah, it looks all over the place. It's crazy.
The Union Street engineering, I'm going to put off until the next meeting. Joe had a BPW meeting. I just need to ask, how urgent is this? Should I schedule a March 4th? We could have the meeting on the 26th, but Joe informed me that night that he may not be able to come because that's also the big public hearing on the sewer and water. He was going to send an engineer. So my thinking is, if I can't get Joe, can we put it off one more meeting? And I don't know how urgent this engineering has to get going. Do you know, Mayor, about that?
It needs to get going.
So we should try to get a March 4th public hearing on it.
Yes.
All right, we have a meeting on the 26th. I have to make it 5 o'clock. And the other reason is I want to attend that public hearing at 6. Do we have other things coming our way at this council packet coming up? You know?
Yes.
Okay. If you can't make it, let me know. Because we could only, we could just discuss this, you know, I don't know how much. I didn't see the BPW meeting at 5, so maybe Joe was confused, but we need somebody here who knows all about this. He said his
Yeah,
engineer
he had a
could
special
come.
meeting tonight, and then I think BPW is getting together at 5 before the public hearing
Don't they have to post that though? Because it wasn't posted.
meeting.
Yeah, but not the 5 o'clock one.
I don't,
No, that's why I was wondering. I looked at it. So anyway, I told him to please have his engineer come talk about it.
so is that meeting going to be on the,
The same night, 26th.
at 6?
5 o'clock. No problem.
I mean,
I don't know.
no, I mean,
It may be the only thing we discuss, depending on what you're sending. If you need them on the March 4th meeting agenda, you have to, you know, whatever you're giving us next week. But I usually like to give us some time in case there's more questions.
yeah, maybe we can try on the 6th. I mean, the engineers and the like Matt Chase, our consultant on the Union Street project, is really worked out here for those questions
Okay, then,
around time, and I think he can be there on the 26th. I just worry about it's a complicated project, and he needs to be upstairs at 6. I just didn't want to.
we're not, well, my biggest question is, and maybe you can answer it now, is this part of the money that I heard we had to put forward in addition to the grant we're getting, or the DOT money? I mean, I heard we had 1 million or something we had to add to the Union Street project. This is part of that, whatever that is,
It is.
1 million?
It
Okay,
is.
so we're starting to, all right.
We've
It's
done
not
a
in
little
addition
bit.
to that.
Right, so we use some of it to get to 25% design,
Mhm.
and now we go 25 to 60, 60 to 90. And so there will be another public hearing coming up around what 60% looks like. But the design team is ready to go.
So the 25%, that's what they were talking about at the public hearing. Is that-
Yeah, so there are parts,
No, it was
and-
450,000.
yeah.
17.
yes, when we first got it. Right. And the project is a transportation improvement project, which is competitive grants that are across the region. Pioneer Valley Planning Commission oversees the municipal planning organization, which I vote on. And basically, it's mayors and town administrators jockeying of whose project is ready to keep going. So we've slipped once a fiscal quarter already, but there's an understanding that if I can bring back to the MPO 90% by the end of 2021, we can advertise the project in 2022.
Well, I'll put this up for the March 4th meeting. If you could contact whoever you feel you need here, 5 o'clock. I know Peg wanted to talk about this anyway, so she's at her last Minnesota meeting.
So, and I can send along the link from Mass DOT that walks through the project and like every time it progresses, there's this master database, and it's all of our TIP or Mass dot projects.
That would be good.
I will do that.
I have nothing else. Does anybody have anything? We adjourn.
Can we have the balance of the free cash account?
You gave us that the last time, and I didn't know if those balances were including these two new
And
items.
that's what I want to know, that's why.
With the pay scale and the cruisers out,
Yeah.
it will be 381,513.20.
That's what's left.
Yeah.
And we're asking for 391.
That's from
That's
retained
not for
earnings,
free
that's from
cash
capital
anymore.
stabilization. Free cash isn't
We
being
changed
touched.
it because we want some free cash for snow and ice.
Let me see that.
It says free cash.
This is an old one that says free cash. I got a new one that's capital stabilization.
Yes.
Did you send us, did we?
The amendment was sent out on that last week.
Maybe.
Yeah, I remember her doing that, Barb. Here, I'll show you. Bill, I can reprint it. So you should keep that one instead. Very good, Nancy.
Oh, wow.
I may be retired from the council later. All right, can I move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?